Okay, I've got to decorate a couple of fish mugs, and I thought I'd show you. It's two types that I do. One involves a sponge, and I just opposite the handle. Hope I've got it the right way round. Doesn't really matter. I found in a curious way, it's a funny way, that when I stopped caring about the fish, they got much better. They got looser. And the other thing I noticed, and if you look at some of Picasso's work, if you capture the essence of something, it's much better than being anatomically correct. Just go and look at some of the birds that he's done. He's taken pots and changed them. And in the classes that I run, it's very hard to teach creativity. How do you do that? Now, everybody is born with a certain amount of creativity, but I don't think our educational system affirms that or exploits it. And for God's sake, the earth and the world certainly needs creativity, but I think we all do as individuals anyway, even when it comes to solving problems. And that's where I certainly admire builders, because they have a way, a logic of solving problems. And that's kind of the funny thing in the pottery. I think there's two ways you can go. You can say, oh bugger, I've got this problem, how am I going to solve it? Or you can say, oh great, this is a challenge, but I'm creative, I'm going to solve it, and so it's a mind thing. Anyway, back to the sponge. So I've just got it there, and then what I do is I'm just going to draw around it. This is a lovely brush, so let's see, I give it an eye here, paint in an eye, and I'm going to give it some kind of course, so that's the start of it. I don't know if you can see it there. That's that one. And then I'm going to get build up some colour. So there's a little bit of yellow here. I think I mentioned I added a bit of frit to the yellow so it wouldn't be too strong. Bit of yellow, and then I have a soft green here, a bit more water. Of course, I think all the fish can be different, and I kind of enjoy that. So I'm just going to flick a bit of colour in there and just try to see. I don't know if you can see that. It's not a lot of difference in. I might use another colour. So let's do this. Now, certain colours don't go together. This is a kind of a burgundy colour, and it's great, but it does not go near yellow. It doesn't. So if I get this, I put a dot here in the eye, because that gives it a kind of almost a kind of a depth. So then a few black lines to it. I don't know if you can see that. Now, some of the fish can be grumpy, doesn't matter. They're all going to be different. So that's one type of fish. I find I'm a bit short on mugs with the standard decorations that I do, so I thought I'd do a few and take the opportunity to video. So these are all sponges that have been cut, and I do a combination of sponge and brush. I'll show you the finished result here. The yellow stain here, I apply this with the brush. It's very easy to put it on too thickly. So what I do is I add a little frit. So here's the brushwork. This is a standard design that I've done, as the Hovasad says, for more years than I care to remember. I just make these little marks, and then a little dot of colour here, just to a little dot of red can be great, because red and cobalt are complementary colours, so there's a kind of an electricity between the two. So this is a mug before it is it's glazed, so this is all on glaze, so that's it. And I'll go and get a mug, and you can see a fired one. I think I have one. So bear with me a sec. So I've got two mugs here. This is a fired one, and I don't know if you can see it if I bring it near the camera. It's just a design that I've been doing for a long time. And just to show you a contrast, that sometimes I just paint fish on. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, just freehand. And what's very interesting actually is, if you think about a decorative image, if you put say, a cat on a mug, you've got to think about it. 50% of the world hate cats. So there would be a resistance to the, the visual image. And if you think about it, large companies, say like Laura Ashley, for example, they use flowers, or they certainly used to use flowers. And who's going to object to a flower? So you take the path of least resistance when it comes to visual images. Another thing which I think is quite interesting, and it's totally, it's kind of related, but I don't have an illustration here, is that we read from left to right. Therefore, our visual logic subliminally is top left to bottom right. And I only realised that because I was working with a designer from Isitana company in Tokyo, and I very cheekily had come up with the cherry blossom design, and tongue-in-cheek, of course, and the designer wanted to have slightly different shape, so he drew the pot that I had proposed to make. It's actually slightly fuller, but then when he came to draw on the decoration, he had it coming from top right to bottom left, and I don't know whether he realised that, or maybe he did, but it certainly, I had a light bulb moment, is that they read down, not from left to right. So that taught me something a lot when it came to decoration, because really, I suppose anybody who's decorating a pot, there's a number of factors. You want to take their eye, you want to control their eye, so the way they see things, so it's comfortable or uncomfortable. And then I was having a conversation with a friend of mine I'm doing some work with, more possibly later about that, but I think if you provide a story, say for example if I'm doing a platter with lots of fish on, the lead fish will be decorated differently, because it has the potential to create a story. So there's lots of girls chasing, or ladies chasing a man, or lots of men chasing a lady, or even a family, whatever it is. And sometimes you might have some smaller fish and larger fish. So it creates depth and space and story, because people like to relate to what you make, For example, with the mug, I think, that the handle on this mug is very considered. It's round at the back and flat. Round at the front and flat at the back. I might have said it in another video, but because it's resting here on the finger and the other finger goes behind, so it has to be comfortable. And then not everybody's going to hold the mug like that. Sometimes we are feeling a little bit vulnerable and we need to take the heat out of the vessel, so we might hold it in two hands, so it has to be comfortable for that. I know certainly if I'm having a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or whatever, I ask, how am I feeling? Sometimes I need to kind of step into my masculine side, so I have a macho vessel that I would hold, and other times I'm feeling vulnerable. I might need to put two hands around something, so I would have vessels for all occasions. That's really, I suppose, a very good reason not to buy 6 mugs the same, because we go through different moods in a day. So what are you feeling, and how are you feeling? What do you need? You don't need a repeat of the same single drinking experience out of 6 different mugs. Maybe you need 6 different drinking experiences. It's slightly more eclectic. Anyway, here ends the lesson for today. Good luck.